This is the world's best water theme park with a giant water coaster, the craziest family slides I've ever seen, racing slides, and even 3 capsule drop slides at the top of an 125-foot volcano. This park is literally home to 18 of the fastest, craziest, and most intense slides on Earth, and I'm riding all of them, but I am absolutely terrified of water slides. So today I'm working my way through every level of intensity, from the kiddie slides all the way up to the 125-foot tall vertical drop slides inside of the volcano to find out, can I actually overcome my fear of water slides? Or will I chicken out? Starting at level 1, Tiawa tubes, which are literally designed for children. I was a little scared in the beginning.
Oh my god.
But as we slowly twisted around, I started to relax.
This is chill. This is chill. Yeah, I got this.
That was until we went down a sudden little drop and started building up some speed, which was terrifying.
We're going too fast. We're going too fast.
Finally, I dropped down a tiny drop and hit the water. Despite how most of that slide was super chill, I was so nervous that when I got off,
I'm legitimately shaking, dude. If this is how scared I am of level 1, imagine how terrified I'm gonna be of that one slide in the top of the volcano that drops like 150 feet straight down. Oh my god, I'm getting lightheaded just thinking about it. Let's just move on to level 2.
which was actually the blue slide right across from level 1. Even though this slide looked exactly like the green one, it was way more intense. The first drop was shockingly quick. Then, after a few more turns, I suddenly entered a giant spiral, which was crazy intense.
Oh my god, it's so forceful.
This caught me so off guard that I started panicking.
Oh my god, I can't think. Oh my god.
And, of course, it did it again.
Oh, why is it so forceful?
Then we twisted the other way, and I was fearing for another crushing turn, but we just went down a little drop and hit the pool.
I don't even know what to say, dude. I don't think I've ever been this scared on a ride in my life. Like, I should give you some backstory. I've gotten hurt on basically every water slide I've ever ridden.
First, I went down one of those slides that shoots you into the air above the pool, and when I hit the water, I got caught on something, and I had a huge cut running up and down my nose. Then, not long after, I went down one of those big tube family slides. The tube flipped over, and I got trapped underwater for over a minute. I nearly drowned, and the lifeguard didn't even try to help me. Then, not too long after that, I went down a regular tube slide, somehow hit the side too hard, and got violently launched out of the slide. And from then on, I've had a phobia of anything relating to water slides. That was until I went to Hershey Park and, on a whim, rode their water coaster, which I actually loved. From then on, I was dedicated to overcome my fear of water slides, and what better place to do that than Volcano Bay, one of the world's best water parks with some of the tallest, fastest, and most intense slides on the planet, including the 3rd tallest water slides in America. I wasn't ready to take on those yet though, so I went over to level 3, Ika Moana, which is the first of the park's 4 crazy looking family slides. This one actually lived up to its name, because I think I could take the whole family on this slide. It was basically just a little drop into a big long peaceful turn, then a little drop into another big long peaceful turn, over and over again. The turns weren't too intense, the drops weren't too crazy, and it never went too fast. I probably should have started with this one, but hey, at least I enjoyed myself.
I honestly think that might have been my favorite slide in the park. That was awesome.
There was another family slide right next to that one, but it looked so crazy that I decided to save that for another level. So I went over to the other tower of family slides, which has this one that looks crazy and this one that looks less crazy, Maku. This was basically just the last slide, but with the peaceful turns replaced with these crushingly intense turns that threw the raft super high up the wall while pushing me down. Then we went straight, whipped through another turn, went straight again, and whipped through one final turn that sent us down through a few small twists before dumping us into the pool. All things considered, I was expecting it to be way more intense. I actually thought it was kinda boring, which is not something I expected to say. But after that, it was time to take on the big boy slides. Everything up to this point I've ridden has all been the filler slides, but from here on out, the slides get way crazier and way scarier, starting with Puihi, which is another family slide, but unlike the others, this one was pretty stinking crazy. It starts with a small drop into a slow turn, and I was bracing for whatever was coming next. Then, out of nowhere, we flew down a crazy drop and into this giant half-pipe thing, flying up this wall, then falling down and rising up the other side. The weightless feeling this thing gave was terrifying, especially because there was nothing holding me in. After we rocked back and forth a little, we slid into more slide. We twisted around a bit as I prepared myself for whatever was coming next. Then we suddenly dropped into another half-pipe, which was terrifying.
It's holding me. This was relaxing.
While I was still trying to come to my senses, we twisted to the side, dropped down a tiny drop, and hit the pool. It was kind of scary, but it was also a great time, and this became my #1 slide in the park, up to this point at least. After that, it was time to go over and ride the final family slide, which I was genuinely terrified of.
So this one's kind of like the final boss of all of these like family slides. Genuinely, the last time I rode a slide that had a wall like this that you go up and come back on, we went up fine, but we came back slightly wrong and hit the barrier in the middle and were literally thrown out of the tube. It was fine there because it was right on the ground, but one of the walls on this slide is so high up, if that happens again, I'm dead. So I'm both like excited because I think it's gonna be fun, which is a crazy development. I think I'm actually making progress in my fear of slides, but also terrified because I don't want to die today.
It starts slow with a little turn, then we hit the drop, which was shockingly steep and felt like it lifted the raft off the slide. I didn't have time to process that though, because before I knew it, we were flying up the massive wall. The weightless feeling on the half-pipe slide was scary, but this was on another level and made me feel like I was floating while being probably 50 feet above the ground with no restraint. I wasn't paying any attention to that though, cause after that wall was the moment I'd been fearing all day. As we flew towards the divider, I had my eyes sealed shut. I was in the brace position and holding on for dear life. Then we hit something. It was just some water, but in the moment I thought it was the wall and my soul left my body. But then I came back to reality, saw that I was still in the tube just in time to plummet down another massive drop. This time though, now that I wasn't afraid of dying, I could actually enjoy the wall, which was so stinking fun. We flew up it and floated in zero gravity for what felt like ages. Sadly though, it didn't last for long, so we dropped down and twisted around. We twisted one way, then the other before dropping into the water.
So hey, I'm not dead. That was good fun. I really enjoyed all those family slides. I don't know if anything else is just gonna be as much pure fun as those. Maybe the water coaster, but I definitely know that the two in the volcano with the giant straight down drops, those aren't gonna be fun. Those are gonna be hell.
After that, I walked over to the other side of the park to ride levels 7 through 10, the Punga Racers racing slides, which seemed like a massive downgrade compared to the last slides, but these were actually another massive hurdle in my quest to overcome my fear of water slides, because these are body slides, which I find so much scarier than tube slides. With the tube, at least there's something to hold on to. On a body slide, it's just me, the water, and the slide. That's it. It starts with a little drop, twisting to the side, then snapping to the other side, and I was terrified. Then I slammed into a wall and twisted down, going faster and faster. Then I popped down a little drop, and suddenly, I was actually kind of loving it.
This is a good time.
Out of nowhere, I smashed into another wall and slammed into the water. I lost the race by a mile, but I enjoyed the slide so much that I decided to do all 4, which would kinda end up being a mistake. But riding the red slide wasn't. It was basically the same as the black slide, but just a tiny bit faster. It freaked me out at first,
This one's so fast.
but I quickly ended up liking it as I ripped around the slide, slammed into a few walls, and plowed into the water at the end. I lost again, but I was so close to winning, so I decided on the next slide I was gonna try and go as fast as possible to see if I could actually win, and that went just as poorly as you'd expect it to. I started with a ton of confidence,
This is my time. Here we go.
which literally instantly went away.
Oh my god, this one's so fast. Okay, we're going too fast. We're going too fast.
But there was no way to slow down as I blazed through some turns and got walloped by the water at the end. And you know what would make this even better? If I didn't win. Guess what? I still didn't win.
We went a little bit too fast on that one. That one was a little bit much. I'm taking a break. We went too fast. It was too much.
I decided to take it slow on the yellow slide, at least as slow as these slides can go, twisting around, dropping down a few drops, and getting blasted by water at the end.
You know, I think I'm actually starting to become less afraid of water slides. Like the first couple slides, I was quaking in my boots. I was terrified. We went and did the raft slides with like 6 of us. Oh my God, I thought I was gonna pass out. I'm doing these and I'm loving it. I'm having fun. I'm trying to win. I'm trying to go faster. Not that much faster, mind you. That one was still way too much, but I'm starting to enjoy myself. Or at least for now. We still have some absolutely insane slides coming up like
This giant water coaster, the slide to the top of the 125-foot tall volcano, and these two, levels 11 and 12, which shoot you out 4 to 6 feet above the water. Now, most people actually consider these to be some of the most chill slides in the park, but to me, they were the scariest. Remember how in the beginning I said, I went down one of those slides that shoots you into the air above the pool, and when I hit the water, I got caught on something, and I had a huge cut running up and down my nose. Well, that happened on this exact same type of slide.
And while I may no longer carry the scars of that incident physically, I definitely carry them mentally. I am terrified of these slides.
Even though everything was telling me to chicken out, I still climbed up the stairs, sat down, and started the slide, which actually started super chill, just slowly twisting around. I had no idea when the drop was coming though, so I was terrified the entire time.
When's the drop?
Finally, after a really long twist, it was time to drop.
Oh, sure.
Okay, well, I'm not dead, but now it's time for the big stanker. Oh no, it is a 6-foot drop. 6 feet, that's like a diving board, dude.
It started basically the same as the other slide with a few slow twists, and yet again, I had no idea when the drop was coming. I twisted around for ages, then hit the drop, which was crazy.
Okay, that was fun. I don't know what changed, but once I got up to the top of the purple one, I was just like, yeah, no, let's do it, let's run it. It's gonna be fun. And it was. Now, let's go to the water coaster. I'm actually really excited about this one. A lot of people say it's the world's best water slide.
On the way over, I ended up checking out the massive wave pool, which was okay. The visuals were amazing, but the waves were just kind of lackluster, so I didn't stick around for long and went over to the lazy river. I'm a sucker for a good lazy river, and this park has 2 of probably the best lazy rivers in the entire world. The first is just a standard lazy river, slowly taking me around some breathtaking scenery and through the volcano. It was really nice to just kick back and float around in, especially because the water was heated to the absolute perfect temperature. This is park-wide, by the way. Every slide and pool was warm enough to not be shockingly cold, but also not be too hot. It was fantastic. Then I went over to the second river, which was more or less just an actual river with waves, rapids, super fast water. It was crazy. The visuals on this one were also breathtaking, just like the other river, but it was so out of control that I never really got a chance to take it in. I'd try and look at something, then a huge wave would come out of nowhere, or I'd hit some rapids that would throw me around. This was easily my favorite thing I'd done all day. It's kind of crazy that a lazy river was better than all of the giant water slides I'd ridden, but this thing was just so stankin' good. I actually almost didn't ride the water coaster because I just wanted to be in the river for the rest of the day. I am so glad I did the water coaster though. It starts crazy with an insane drop for a water slide, diving down straight into the first launch, which threw us up and over another crazy drop that kind of lifted the raft into the air. Then we launched up again and blasted into a turn, letting me catch my breath for a second. Not too long though, as we fell down a kind of weak drop and launched into a super long launch that shot us into another turn where we built up a good amount of speed and plunged down another drop that literally tossed me into the air. I had no time to process that as we shot up another even longer launch and into another turnaround. By this point, I thought the coaster must be close to done, but we just kept going with an even crazier drop, an even taller and faster lift, a way more intense turn, another drop that lifted us into the air, and the tallest and fastest launch of the entire slide, sending us into a long twisty bit. I had no idea what was coming. Then we plummeted down the insane final drop, which was easily the best moment of the entire slide. The raft lifted off the slide, and we just floated in the air for seconds. We slammed back down and flew up the final launch, hitting the water and ending the best water slide I've ever ridden. Now, I'd been excited for that slide pretty much all day, but I'd also been dreading the next slide all day because it was time to take on levels 14 and 15, the slides at the top of the 125-foot volcano. Or it was actually time to take on them a little bit later because I actually got so scared that I literally packed up and left the park. But I wasn't chickening out that easily, so I came back on another day dedicated to finally taking on my biggest water slide fear, the capsule drop slide. If you didn't know, these are slides where you load into a drop pod thing, then the floor drops out from under you, sending you straight down a near vertical drop.
I don't think it's possible for me to describe how scared I am of this slide. I've legitimately been like on the edge of throwing up due to nervousness literally all day. I am so scared. And what makes it worse is I have to wait 20 minutes before I can ride it. So I have to just sit here knowing what's coming. Oh gosh.
Finally, after 20 agonizing minutes, it was time to ride, which of course started by climbing hundreds of stairs to the top of the volcano, which in and of itself made me more and more scared as it slowly started to sink in just how ungodly high these slides were. Finally, I made it to the top and climbed into the pod. Now, before I'd gotten into the pod, I timed out just how long it took from the door closing to the floor dropping. 10 seconds if you're curious. So when I got into the pod and the door closed, I started counting. The floor didn't drop. The extra 7 or so seconds I had to wait there were the longest seconds of my life. Then the floor dropped. As you just heard, I let out a pretty hearty scream. And by doing that, I released all my air, and when I went to take a breath, my mouth was perfectly lined up to one of the giant water jets, meaning I just inhaled water. Then, as I twisted through the tube, gasping for air, water was sprayed in my face, making it feel like I was drowning. And that's not even to mention the extreme G-forces of the slide, pushing my chest down and making it hard to inhale in the first place. By the time I hit the splashdown, I wasn't going very fast, but everything that happened before was so intense, so overwhelming, and so panic-inducing, my body genuinely went numb. I wobbled my way over to the side of the pool and sat on the edge as my arms, legs, hands, and basically everything started violently tingling. The lifeguard came over to check on me and moved me over to a beach chair so I could wait for a medic to come over. He ended up saying that I was in the middle of an aggressive panic attack, and if the symptoms didn't go away quick, I was gonna need to go to the hospital. Fortunately, the symptoms did go away quickly, but the medic did tell me that if it happened again, I was gonna have to be carted off to the hospital, which I really didn't want to happen because medical bills in the US are so ungodly expensive. And because of that, I didn't end up writing the other 2 capsule drops. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I cannot afford to go to the hospital. I'm sorry.
I don't think I can say that I accomplished my goal of defeating my fear of water slides, but I can say that I made really good progress. I had so much more fun filming this video than I thought I was going to. And I think if I go to a couple more water parks, I'll be able to come back to here next year and actually go down the big drop slides in the top of the volcano without nearly passing out. So watch out for more water park content over the next couple months. Subscribe if you want to see that. Now I'm gonna go lay down.
Now, if you enjoyed this video, you should also check out this one from Hershey Park, where I rode the first water slide I rode in like 5 years.